Welcome. I'm Leah Jorgensen. This is Between Two Vines. I'm happy to introduce a guest who, in wine circles, really needs no introduction. Welcome to the show, Remy Martin.
Drabkin.
Remy, you know, as a professional in the beverage industry, the old adage is to make a small fortune in the wine business, you have to start with a large fortune. So would you say that your fortune came from your dad, Remy Martin?
So my last name is Drabkin, Remy Drabkin, and
nepotism.
And no, I actually started. I started Remy Wines by borrowing money, and then I've built it into a successful business.
Right. So I see the resemblance to your brother Ricky.
So my last name is Drabkin, not Martin. I think you might have a little confusion happening.
Yeah. So cognac? Do you make cognac?
No, wine. I make wine. I have a couple different brands, Remy Wines and Three Wives. It is totally separate and apart than the cognac company. You guys might want to edit that out for proprietary reasons. Just saying when you take this back.
Okay. So you're not okay. Notes. I'm gonna fire somebody. So the white hair, it's been well known in the Willamette Valley that you like to color your hair based on what you're drinking. Wine Country Pride, that is something that I saw on your website. And I'm just wondering, is that a franchise location for you with the Country Pride restaurant group? Is that?
You may have this confused as well. Wine Country Pride is a nonprofit that I am starting along with a steering committee that raises money for scholarships for LGBTQ youth in Yamhill County.
So there's no restaurant?
There's no restaurant.
That's okay. The notes here. This is Remy Drabkin, and she's a lovely, amazing luminary in our Willamette Valley wine industry and community. And jokes aside, she's been a wonderful, kind person to play along. So thank you for playing along with this.
Pleasure.
All seriousness, I'm thrilled to have Remy here to talk about what she's doing in her own business with her own winemaking, and then beyond that, what she's doing for our community and the caring big heart that she has to make such a huge difference. So I guess I'll start first and ask you, why wine? Like, what? You grew up in McMinnville, but what was it about wine that drew you? Obviously not cognac. What was it about wine that brought you in?
So, I did grow up here when the wine industry was still very young, and it was a very close-knit community. There were really only, less than a dozen families that were making wine, and that's who I grew up amongst. And so I've always been drawn to wine. I grew up playing in cellars and in vineyards and on tractors, and that's what I loved. So it was just always present, and I love the process. Yeah. I think that's why most of us do it, because we love the process.
Yeah. What is your favorite part of the process? Like when the vintage starts, from start to finish, what is it for you that like really gets to you?
Definitely, yeah, it's when the vintage starts. I love harvest. There's so much adrenaline that is happening, and a lot of decisions we make in the wine industry are so thought out. What bottle am I going to put this in? And you look at dozens of samples. What is my label going to look like? How am I going to do X, Y, or Z? And there's a lot of planning that happens throughout the year And then when it comes to harvest, you plan and you plan and you plan, and then everything's very in the moment. And I feel like that's an area where I really thrive, and I think that's why my wines are good. Yeah.
How did you land in these old world style, non-traditional grapes for the Willamette Valley, or initially?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. How did you land
always,
there?
But that's not what I really ever got a lot of attention for. So, I left Oregon when I was very young, but I'd worked for Rob Stewart. He was at ERATH at the time, all through high school. I went and lived in Israel. I went and studied winemaking in Burgundy and Beaune. I came back. I went back to work in wine. But I was living in Pittsburgh, and I was running an Italian restaurant and bakery, and we were making wine in the basement. So then when I came back to Oregon in 2003, I knew that I wanted to continue this tradition that I'd seen of people running other businesses and making wine at home. Mm-hmm. So I'd had that experience of growing up in the cellars at, I'm not name dropping here. This is just where I grew up, at Ponzi and Adelsheim. And at ERATH, and like those were all literally garages when I was growing up, right? So people were making wine at home, but all of a sudden I experienced people running a restaurant and making their own wine. And for some reason it just flipped that a little bit in my mind, so that when I went back to work, I came back to run Argyle's lab, and I came back and I wanted to make my own wines at home. And so I started doing that, and I loved Italian varietals. And so that is the first fruit that I brought in. I made those wines through 2005 as I worked in the Valley, but just for home consumption, friends, family. And so when I launched the winery in 2006, commercially, there was no reason to stop and switch gears. Now, I was always making Pinot, but I got so much attention for focusing on Italian varietals, and my Remy Wines brand, I only produce Italian varietals. So I just kind of downplayed my Pinot Noir making. But, I'm almost 15 years in. So my brand has developed and changed a lot.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about those the ebb and flow of the change? Like, how has that guided you as a winemaker, like just knowing different varietals or different sourcing, different locations? How has that kind of guided you?
I've always been very future forward in my thinking. So I focus a lot on a varietal called Lagrine, and that's very specific in terms of thinking about our climate. I've also been responsive to my own desires versus what the market wants, and trying to find a good mix. I'm not tailoring my winemaking style to market demand, but we have tremendous demand for our sparkling, which is made from all estate-grown Pinot Noir, which is also what I make my rosé from, which is also what I make my Pinot Noir from. And I only have so much of that fruit. So what am I going to do this next vintage? I'm going to make like 400 cases of sparkling instead of 100 cases of sparkling, because that's where the strong desire is, right? So that type of flexibility, and just opening up to making sparkling, and kind of launching almost a third arm of Remy Wines from that.
Well, it's been exciting to see you grow and evolve. And personally, when I worked at Corkscrew Wine Bar, we had a hell of a good time selling the Three Wives wines, and those were just beautiful labels, really approachable, delicious, easy drinking, amazing wines.
I'll tell you, there's a little on the kind of overview of those. The Remy wines are all Italian, single vineyard, 100% varietal, barrel aged for 14 months up to 3 years. I even have a 10-year project going. Wow, why? And then I have this whole playing card series that's kind of my take on the classics. So that's where our sparkling lives. I have a super Tuscan style wine, and I'm preparing to release a couple more. And then I have my Three Wives, and Those are supposed to be phenomenal wines. I try really hard to keep the price point very accessible because I do believe everybody should be able to drink great wine.
Take one more step and talk about the wine that we have on display today.
Sure. So I just brought some bottles of our Wine Country Pride Pinot Gris. So this is actually, I guess, kind of a fourth arm. So I basically have just started a nonprofit called Wine Country Pride.
I basically just started a nonprofit. I mean,
it's what I did this year,
amazing.
Amongst a few other things. But I did start a nonprofit. It's called Wine Country Pride, and the idea is the main thing is to create safe spaces throughout Yamhill County for queer folk, and we're doing that in a number of different initiatives. We are creating scholarships for every high school that will be administered through PFLAG. So for queer youth that are going on to vocational training or continuing education, we have a flag initiative started by Pollinate Flower Farm, where we distribute free pride flags to any business in Yamhill County. And additionally, we have pride flags for sale in Yamhill County, which a month ago, there was no place you could go and buy a pride flag. So I actually have the pride flag here, but what we're distributing is the Progress Pride flag, which has a chevron in the center of it that represents the intersectionality of a lot of cultures and underrepresented cultures within queer culture, including queer people of color and trans queer community, and we're really trying to elevate those voices right now. So we have the flag initiative, we have the scholarships. We are adding educational materials to every school library and the public libraries that are age appropriate and have been vetted through some other organizations. And next year we hope to add queer art installations in the city of Newburgh and the city of McMinnville. WineCountryPride.com. You can see everything that's going on. It's amazing.
Well, so excited to be able to share this on this platform and everything that you're doing, again, serving in our government, local, and starting up nonprofits. I mean, again, I don't know how you do it all.
Yeah, I don't sleep. I think that's what I told you.
You told me you don't sleep.
I don't sleep. I don't sleep a lot.
You don't look like it. You look amazing.
Yeah, I know. I look like I don't sleep, but I sleep about 4 hours a night, and then I'm council president of the city of McMinnville, and I chair our McMinnville Affordable Housing Commission. I'm the liaison and launched the DEI advisory committee for the city of McMinnville, and I'm appointed by the governor to the Oregon Wine Board as a director. A lot of hats.
A lot of hats, but a lot of heart and amazing intention.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that you're doing. I'm astounded, honestly. So
it's a lot right now.
It's a lot, and an amazing winemaker to boot.
Oh yeah, and I make wine, and I run my business.
She runs a business.
We're kind of killing it.
She's totally killing it. Someone I very much look up to. So thank you for being here, and cheers.
Thanks for the whiskey.
You're very welcome, and we'll sign up here for now. So thank you so much.